Well, hello everybody and welcome to Coffee Chat. I'm Sherry Smeraglia. I'm the CEO of Smeraglia Enterprises and Teddy Bear Goldendoodles, Schnoodles, and Twoodles. And I have here with me today, Carol Tuberville.
Yes, good to see you guys.
So welcome. I love having my guest every week and having great topics to discuss. And I'm very excited about today's topic.
I am too. It has become a more and more common theme among our clients to be asking questions related to this topic.
Yes, so last week if you guys were here, I had Lauren, my daughter, here, and we were just talking about the changes that we're seeing with our own personal dogs and what is going on inside the dog food bag, what is going on in the dog food bowl, and what reactions we're getting from our dogs. But Carol is the person who is over all of the dog care, livestock, the animals here on the farm. And so you are very closely connected to the food that they're all eating and over who's feeding them.
Absolutely. You know that saying we heard when we were all growing up, you are what you eat. So food is so important for us to watch and track and see what's going on. And I'm noticing trends among our clients. I'm noticing trends that I see on social media. And so it makes us go, what could we be doing to be always pushing that bar and learning and doing better?
I like that. And you know what I've learned about this is that as I'm watching the animals, the livestock, the chickens, the goats, the cows, peacocks, dogs, of course, but the livestock, the horses and the large animals, I'm becoming more aware of the impact of food on their lives and how I can physically and visibly see this effect in their bodies and their life and their quality of life. And it's actually kind of causing me to look at my own eating habits and go, hold on, I can see it in them.
Yeah.
Now I've got to think about it in me, you know?
You know, and what's cool is chickens are so easy to look at to really kind of form opinions because their egg, like you see immediate changes in how many eggs you get, how few eggs you get, what color the yolk is. Like different things with that can tell you you're getting what you need or you're not getting what you need.
So real quick, we have chickens and we're going through the chicken dilemma and the egg dilemma here. Carol, how many chickens do you have?
So personally at my house, I have about 35.
And then here?
We have about 40.
40, okay. So
and chickens and ducks, we'll say.
Chickens and ducks and a few peacocks. And so we love having our fresh eggs, but we've seen the changes. But it's not about chicken eggs today. But if you do have questions, we're always here for you. But with the food issue with the chickens, I was telling her today, we're seeing it over in the dog world now. The same exact issues, guys.
Yeah. So what's interesting is you get these little pieces of your puzzle, and it's not until all your little pieces flip over that you can really start putting things together. So one of the things that I do and you and I do a lot is we look at each of these individual pieces for what they are.
Right.
We kind of break it down, but then as you can start putting them together, it helps you to make some choices. So the pieces we have was we're looking at this stuff with chickens. We're getting feedback from our clients about that doodle tummy, about how we have loose stool, intermittent vomiting here and there, that doodle digestive system that you always hear about.
It happens. the GI tract and the poodle breeds are a little bit more sensitive. But guys, this is beyond that.
It is. And the thing is that, but then you notice, so our clients have always talked about that. But the thing is, if you're on social media, it's not just doodles. It's every breed. It's Labradors. It's Cavaliers, you name it, they're having issues and they're seeing some of the same things that we've always seen. And then you're watching some of the other stuff and it starts letting you put pieces together.
Right, yeah.
So one of the things that we were talking about and what our topic today is so food allergy versus food intolerances. So food allergy has been kind of the buzz for all of these years, and this actually has come up quite a bit in conversations.
Right.
So food allergies are basically your dog has an anaphylactic reaction to an ingredient in the food, just like a person. We were talking about like milk.
Right.
So if you're allergic to milk and you drink milk, you're going to get hives, your throat's going to swell up, you're going to have an anaphylactic reaction. Well, that's not really what's being reported with a lot of dogs. Some, like I think Lauren was talking about with her dog's anaphylactic reaction, where they're chewing their feet, their ears get infected. That's your typical allergy. But what we're seeing a lot of isn't allergies, it's intolerance, which is a different thing.
That's interesting. Now, welcome if you are joining us. We have this great topic that we're discussing, but you guys feel free to jump in. We have Dana behind the mic. You can't see her, but she is there, and she wants to welcome a few of you guys there. Our supporters, we always welcome you guys there. So we do want to do a shout out and actually see who we're hanging out with today.
Well, so far we've got Patty, and Patty comments, and of course Patty is our supporter.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of chickens.
We got a lot of chickens.
Which means a lot of eggs. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, we do have a lot of chickens, but okay, so Carol, let's think about allergy. Like you said, break it down, because Carol's mind is like so deep. We got to break it down.
Okay.
Allergy is just, I eat something like Taylor. Taylor has a tree nut allergy.
Yeah.
So if Taylor eats an allergy, she's going to have an immediate reaction, and she's going to need an EpiPen.
Yes, I've actually been there for that in the past.
Okay.
And so
and it can be life-threatening.
life-threatening, absolutely.
For some people, these allergic reactions are life-threatening.
And we certainly see that in dogs. You see dogs that eat food and certain ingredients make them lose their hair, make them chew. You call it kind of lawnmower, where they chew themselves and it kind of cuts the hair off where their teeth are chewing it.
Yeah.
They chew on their feet. You'll get that red staining from their saliva on their feet. They get ear infections.
Mm-hmm.
That's your typical allergy. Just like you, if you have an allergy, your throat's going to itch. You might get a little bit scratchy.
But it's not life-threatening.
And mostly in dogs, it's not. Certainly they can have anaphylactic reactions,
Right.
but typically not to food.
And Dana, if anybody has questions, just let us know. We're just going to keep going, and you just chime in if you need
raise
us.
my hand.
You will let us know.
But welcome to Barbie Huff. She's watching, one of our supporters as well. Hey, Barbie.
Hey, Barbie, glad you're here. We always love it when our supporters are here. It feels like family and home.
Yes.
So, okay, but then so Carol makes calls. She is the person that is going to call back, because Carol knows the puppies. She is over the puppy care side of our company and the adult side. And so she's really on top of, with the team, the whole dog care team that works underneath her. So she knows what's going on, and she's seeing it. Like, she is this person that I have delegated to help me do this job with excellence.
Yes.
So now you see the dogs, and then you are the one that calls the client back if a puppy goes home and they have issues. What's happening with the phone calls?
So with this particular call, with this one, it actually not a young puppy. Dog's about 2 years old, but
Okay.
hey guys, y'all are always a part of the Smeraglia family. Your dog
That's
is
right.
always a Smeraglia
Right.
puppy, and so you guys reach out, talk to us. So this is one that's a little bit older and has been getting treated for allergies. They actually ran through allergy testing. They went on the food that was recommended for allergies.
What
but are-
food was that? What did they get
So
recommended?
they got recommended about 3 different ones. So the dogs' test results indicated that they had an allergy to poultry. So basically chicken, turkey, and whatnot, duck. And they went on a hydrolyzed protein diet, but they saw no changes.
Okay.
The dog was still having these symptoms of loose stool, still having these symptoms that he was running into. Otherwise normal, happy, healthy dog, but in the afternoons, each day is just really running through some struggles with GI system.
We don't like that in our house either.
Yeah, we don't love that. But the thing is the dog probably doesn't have an allergy, probably has a sensitivity.
But the test said they did.
Well, and it could be low level, but the dog never had symptoms
But
of
the
an allergy.
allergy's not what's causing the problem.
Correct.
Is what you're saying.
Yes. So
Okay.
even though he tested that he had an allergy, the allergy never caused itchiness. Never, skin and coat's beautiful.
Okay.
Never had an ear infection. Never had
Okay.
any kind of itchiness issues. But the way we think about it is, if I'm allergic to milk and drink it, I'm going to get hives, itchiness. But if I'm lactose intolerant, I can drink it and not have an allergic reaction, but my stomach's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
That's intolerance, and that's what you're going to see if you have
You don't tolerate it well.
Right, your body.
That's just breaking it down simple. Right.
Yes. Well, and with that, it just means that your body or your dog's body doesn't have what it needs to break down that ingredient to digest it appropriately.
Now, would you say that's a genetic issue?
No, not necessarily.
It's just, why
food.
doesn't it have what it needs?
Well, and it's not necessarily that it doesn't. It could be that it's not supposed to have what it needs.
Right.
A lot of
We're
our
giving it something it doesn't
Correct.
wasn't supposed to have.
Right. And so in a lot of our commercial diets, we got to remember everything is a give and take. Everything
Right.
has risk. So obviously the best food for you, best food for your dog is going to be something that you prepare perfectly the way God intended it. But we do commercial diets because it's easy. We all work. I don't have
convenient.
time. It's convenient.
Right.
But in order for it to stay on the shelves, in order for it to be able to ship, in order
For
for
2
it to
years, y'all, if it's in a store, it has a preservatives in it for a 2-year shelf life. That is a lot of preservatives, and that's what our dogs are not dealing well with.
Yeah, for sure. And it
What
could
these
be
preservatives are.
It could be, for sure. It also could be that, like, certain people do better on low carb diets. Certain people do better on higher carb diets. Some people, everybody's a little different. The dogs are the same way. It doesn't mean that something in them's broken. It
Right.
means that they're different. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But it's recognizing what each individual dog's needs are and meeting them where they are with those needs. So with an intolerance, basically what we're looking at instead is what ingredient is the dog not tolerating. So my recommendation to them was do a different test. Don't do an allergy test. Do a tolerance test, which is going to look for the ingredients that the dog isn't capable of digesting in the
Now,
right way.
how are they going? I know you're asking this question, right? How am I going to do a tolerance test on my dog?
Order it.
Okay.
That's it. You just literally go online and you order one.
Now, what about Embark?
Embark does them also.
Okay.
And so Embark does a great test where you send in a sample.
And it's a saliva swab, so it's super easy.
So you send in the sample and they're going to basically tell you what is missing in the GI system. So when we go back to that milk allergy example or that lactose example, what somebody's body may be missing is lactate. So basically you take the little lactate pill and now you can go eat your ice cream if you want to.
There you go.
Because now you've replaced that in your body. Well, that's what Embark has too. So Embark also has this test that's going to say, hey, dog's GI system looks great, but it maybe needs a little bit more of this beneficial bacteria
that.
or a little bit more of this over here. Here's where there's an imbalance. Or it may say, you maybe need to stay away from anything that's got sunflower oil in it.
Now,
or
that
something
is a
like that.
different test than our genetic test. It tests for 214 different genetic, health issues or concerns. This is a different test that you can do, So that's great.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. And so from the clients that, and so all of that's relatively new, but the clients that we've referred to that test so far, and the ones who've reached out without the referral to the test, just to say, hey, if anybody has an issue, here's what I did and what worked, we're getting glowing reviews, and it literally is like that fast of a
Okay,
change.
so what they do? Tell me again.
So basically they take the test.
Okay.
And there's a couple of different ones out there. We've personally not done a whole lot of this testing
We haven't
yet.
had to, but we can put the links that
We
they
can.
use underneath this live so that you guys can refer to them, and we can tell you the ones that they've referred to.
And following the recommendations on the test results have led to just that fast a change.
Wow, I love that.
But what I think a lot of people are doing and where wheels are getting spun is like with this particular client. We're looking for food allergies when our problem is an intolerance. And so those are two completely different things that need to be addressed in completely different ways.
It's kind of make me think maybe I need a swab.
Me too.
But it's so important. Sometimes we do more for our pets than we do for our own self.
Oh, no doubt we do. We are such great puppy parents.
Yeah.
I've talked to some clients on the phone, and I love each and every one of you guys for loving the puppies as hard and as much as we would. But I've talked to some of you guys who I will literally say, well, if your kids had the same symptoms, what would you have done? Well, I would have just watched it and waited. And that's
Why-
just it.
what-
We actually are doing more for our dogs than even our kids at times.
It is interesting to
Yes.
see what great pet parents you guys all are.
Mm-hmm.
And we just care so much. But I think it's because, listen, our dogs don't use the toilets.
I
And we don't
agree.
want accidents up in the house. So we're like on top of that. We've got to stay on top of it. At least a kid can tell us
Yes.
how they're feeling
Mm-hmm.
and they can communicate. And we're having to kind of do guesswork with our pets.
Yeah, and that's a whole topic for another day with
Yeah.
the whole getting our pets to talk to us.
Yeah, we can
like
talk
our
about that,
kids.
yeah.
But that's definitely, you're right, because they can't say, hey, my tummy hurts, or no, I feel fine. I just ate something I shouldn't have. Our dog
Right,
can't say that. My
that's
son
right.
can, but my dog can't.
But so many people today are experiencing like gluten intolerances
Mm-hmm.
and so many different intolerances that I never heard of growing up. Everything is changing in the world. And we also kind of are suspicious a little bit about what's going on in the dog food factories.
Yeah,
Changes.
there's a lot that's happening, and you have to assume. And here's the thing: we
No
still
pointing
feed.
fingers. I mean, we love everybody's working hard, but things are harder to get.
It is, and I'm going to say this: we absolutely love ProPlan, and it's done great. And it's one of the few companies that still does food trials on dogs.
That's right.
So that your dog is not the test subject. It's actually they do
At
that
their farm, and we
Yes.
are looking forward to the day we get to go visit Purina Farms, because we want to see all these tests that they're doing, because I'm fascinated by it.
But the thing is when you can go to the grocery store and see the cost of chicken change and the cost of turkey be different and the cost
Eggs.
of everything change, you have to assume in business, everybody is also looking at that bottom line and what those numbers are. And so I often wonder if we're seeing some of this trend with dog food and chicken food just overall as a result of just the costs going up so much.
Well, you know, today, after Joe and you had such a great conversation about dog food, then Joe and myself, Joseph is my son, who's been to culinary school. It's about to finish it, but he's learning so much about food. And then Jacob, my other son, who's all about, you know, just kind of branding and the business and models and all that. And we were having this same conversation over dog food. And we were talking about, I mean, how wonderful if we could make our own dog food. And now, not on the giant scale for the whole world, but if you have your 1 or 2 dogs at home and you can use the food and the vegetables, the raw meat, the food, the vegetables, the grains, the barleys and things like that, and y'all were talking about fermenting the food. Chime in on that while we have a few minutes left. This is really interesting.
So one of the things, and again, you get your little puzzle pieces that then
Yeah.
you start putting together.
Yeah.
So in looking at chicken food, again, one of the things that a lot of people are doing to just get more bang for their buck is fermenting the food. Well, there's a lot of benefits to fermenting food, and there's a lot of people that drink drinks and have things
Like
that are fermented.
kombucha and all
Yes.
that. And
Because of-
beer. I mean, beer, kombucha, all of those type of things.
Well, the benefits and the health benefits of that are probiotics. The digestive process has already started, so it's a lot easier to digest, which means it's easier on the system. It is a natural source of a lot of nutrients that you really can't get in a whole lot of other ways. And it makes the nutrients in the food more easily accessible to whoever's
So, like in
eating
the
it.
chicken field world, they can ferment. They basically, it's just putting the water on it and letting it ferment. But they don't have protein in chicken food. Like
Yeah, they do.
they have protein because like meats and things like that.
Well, it's different
'Cause, like, a
sources
dog
of
food
protein.
has chicken and beef and salmon and.
Certainly not in the same quantity. There is some, like usually it's going to be fish meal that's in chicken food.
So we were thinking about like, okay, tell us how they ferment, and then Joe and I were like going the next step, like, could we ferment our own dog food? And we were questioning it because of the meat in it, and the
I think
protein.
Dana's raising her hand.
Well, we have a few comments.
Okay, good.
Ed Fuller says, we love ProPlan for our doodle. He
Yeah.
also gets some raw, no sugar added pumpkin.
That's good.
Good, very good.
And
That's
our-
good fiber too, and
Very-
it works both ways.
Yes, our very good friend Christy Wagner Moore
Yeah.
says, I use Purina ProPlan beef and rice for Polar and no issues at all. I don't think they use controversial preservatives.
They don't, and that's the thing. But
It is.
this fermenting is really interesting to me.
So you and Joe talked. So Joe and I talked. Then you and Joe talked.
Joe's
and,
behind the camera, y'all. So
and
hey,
then
Joe.
Sam and I talked afterward.
Okay.
And so when I was talking to Sam, she had an idea that I was like, oh, that's brilliant.
What?
So the thing is it probably is going to be difficult to ferment the dog food itself. But it doesn't mean that we can't ferment something that we then supplement the dogs with.
Put over the dog food.
Put
That's
over
what
the
we
dog
were
food.
talking
so
about.
look at that. See, we came up with the same idea separately.
So Joe likes to make his own beer, and he makes really good beer, and he's just playing with it, not doing anything. We don't have a still or anything like that, guys.
Yes.
We're just playing with it. But then, Joe, what is it that they love at the end of the day? You said when it's all done.
They're like the spent grains that you throw away.
What is it? Speaking to the mic.
The spent grains or the barley malt, It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be you. I mean, the before or after, either way, we still give it to the cows and the sheep. But it's basically after you boil the mash, it's just ground up barley malt.
And
And then
they
you take
love
out
it.
and-
Yeah, and that's fermented grains. And they love it. There's added nutritional benefits to it overall. And so when we were thinking about it for all other animals,
Right.
there should be nutritional benefits to it for dogs as
Right,
well.
right.
And so one of the things that we recommend so much is probiotics. Well, this is a really natural source of probiotics. It's also a natural source of a lot of other things that gets artificially added.
So how are they going to do it? Oh, Joe. Okay, yeah. So what are they going to do?
Don't know yet. We got to figure that out.
We're going to figure out how to get some type of fermentation on top of our dog food or to help their GI tracts. And we actually talked about testing it on a group study on several of our dogs and then really start figuring it all out. Because ideally, if we could feed our dogs raw, you know, when I got Hans from the breeder, of course, I don't breed giant schnauzers. And when I got Hans, the breeder said, and she had been a dog breeder for many, many years, longer than anybody I knew at that time. She had been a dog breeder for 62 years. And she said, my contract is null and void if you use commercial food.
Yeah.
You have to only feed raw. And she was feeding like chicken necks and whole chickens and beef and everything like that and vegetables. She said she had never had cancer in her kennels, all of this. I mean, it
So-
was interesting to me. But you can't cook these chickens. They had to be raw
has to be
because
raw.
the bones become brittle and are dangerous once you cook them.
Right. So raw bones are safe to eat.
Right.
And so a whole other rabbit trail based on like what she's saying. So a theory right now is the sensitivities and allergies that people are developing, like to gluten and things like that. That is your body's way through epigenetics of saying, this is not safe for you to have. So even though science hasn't figured that out yet, your body is already trying to reject things that we're going to probably learn in the future is not safe for your body to have in it, which is kind of cool the way your body does things like that.
That is cool.
But that's a whole different rabbit
Well,
trail.
the body
But-
is a machine of its own. The dog's, body is the machine as well. And Joe and I were talking like, we can give our dogs like natural, dog food, pour it in there. But the minute they get real chicken or beef or something, like we'll say, well, they can eat these green beans and this chicken and this. It's like they're naturally wanting that. And y'all were talking about how in the wild, the wolves would go for an animal and like go straight for its stomach.
Yeah, it goes for the like the inside. So it goes for that soft underbelly, and then the first thing that they ingest is stomach contents, and organ meat. And then they go to the other meats and bones and everything else.
And you got to think what's fermenting inside of there. In a rabbit, when they're hunting,
A deer?
things like that. A deer,
Yeah.
yes. And they're eating all these herbs. They're eating all of these things. And so, wow, I know that it felt gross to me when I was giving Hans all this raw meat. I was like, he was like slinging it around. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is not sanitary. So I guess it would need to be in the crate so I could just like sanitize the crate. You can't be running around the house with kids and raw meat.
But you think all the time though about like what media and what all of that does to like your training and what you think about the world and how you interact with it, and that's absolutely it. All this raw meat, it feels gross, it feels nasty, because that's how we were taught from the beginning. But we can wear gloves.
Needless to say, I voided my contract. And I was told up front, and guess what? I knew better. I was
Yeah.
like, she told me this is the problem, and if I did it, and I just said, I can't do it.
And all that being said, Hans is great. He's wonderful.
He's healthy and beautiful.
He's healthy. He's beautiful. His coat looks great. He's an old man and doing
He's an
wonderful.
old man now, yes.
No issues with him. And so a
So
lot of this,
I didn't need the contract.
and he was okay on regular food,
He was.
as most dogs probably will be. But again, keep your dog where they are.
Yeah.
And these are a lot of topics that are coming up that we're just trying to. What's best for our dogs? What's best for our clients going forward?
So what can they take away from this? If they're seeing digestive issues in their dog, they need to look at what their dog is on and either switch the dog food to something totally different, like I did, from chicken to salmon for my dogs. Now the salmon makes their breath kind of yuck, but fishy or smell, but they like it. but then do the intolerance test.
Absolutely.
And how much are those approximately?
So it depends on which level you do. So there's a couple of different ones, but they range from about 59 up to about 99 as far as just for an individual test, which is well worth it. And you can also catch it, like if it's your first time ordering it, there's like a first time customer code that gets like $20 off or something like that.
Right. And here's the thing. If you are seeing issues with your dog, medication is not always the first, path to take. Medicate them, put them on an antibiotic, treat them, give them this, this, this. I mean, we are big in being very conservative, paying attention, watching it, and letting the body help correct it, but doing some natural things like we're talking about today to figure out what's wrong versus throwing in medicine on top of the problem. Sometimes we're just creating the problem.
We are. And one of the things to definitely be conscientious of is just throwing medicine like you're throwing darts at a dartboard. If you're not actually treating something like an actual diagnosis, dog has loose stool, well, let's just give it a medication. If you're not actually treating something, it's probably not best to put them on medicine. And at times, especially with something like Giardia, the medication actually has higher risk and more side effects than Giardia itself does. The dog's immune system can and will deal with it on its own. And for any dog that's under 6 months old, this is their first time going out in the world. Their first time experiencing anything. They need to build a healthy immune system. And the way that they do that, hey, when we were young, my mom sent me to somebody's house to get chicken pox. So I would have an immunity to it, and it wasn't a problem later. Then
herd immunity works.
Yeah, and the thing is like for our dogs, we're not letting them in a lot of cases build up a natural immunity to things, which does set them up for an unhealthy immune system later in life. So we do recommend on younger puppies, in the absence of other symptoms, a puppy that's eating, drinking, healthy, and playful, see your vet, but let their immune system do what it's meant to do.
So Julie says that her dog loves the farmer's dog, practically licks the bowl clean.
That was the dog food that we were actually talking about. Jacob was like, well, what about this dog food? I'm hearing a lot about farmer's dog and things like that. And, I am very interested in learning more about this natural food. And of course, I'm not going to go and start making dog food, but we are very much like research and development here at Smeraglia. And my plan is to figure out something incredible, take all the knowledge that we have and try to figure out what works and try to find a solution to some of these problems.
And at the end of the day, just because it's what you've always done or what has always been done in the industry doesn't mean that 5 years from now we're not going to look back and go, oh yeah, that probably we've learned better.
Yeah, we have.
And we've always got to be in a place of thinking in that way. And you know what? We may be doing the absolute best and perfect thing and never be able to improve on it, but we can't lock ourselves into that box.
That's great, yes.
Will, can you see the full comment from Anne Marie Morris? It's not letting me click on it to see the whole thing. Cannot.
I don't even see that comment at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
I think
we
she
were-
might have deleted it. but
Okay,
anyway.
we were trying to answer your question, but anyway, so this has been a really good conversation. I think that it is a topic of interest that so many people have. And Carol, as you encounter conversations on a regular basis, I'm going to tap into that and kind of let our, followers, supporters kind of get in on these conversations. So as the client that calls you is learning, they can learn along with us, and we can kind of share this information so that we can get it out there.
Absolutely. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to support you guys in puppy ownership and the life of your dog.
All right, guys, so you heard it today. Is it an allergy or is it an intolerance?
Very
we
good
are,
information.
yes, we are going to post some links down below, and I would love to hear feedback. I know that this is live, but if you're watching it later, put your comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. All right.
Yep.
Have a great day, and we will see you next Wednesday. Oh, not Wednesday, next Tuesday at 3:15 for Coffee Chat. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.